Hi everyone, it's Rachel with Rachel's Super Cute Creations. I'm just gonna hang tight here. I wanted to let you know tonight we are going to journal, and it's going to be by 9 envelope. While we're waiting, I'll just kind of show you, and I apologize, my chair is squeaky. Show you what I'm thinking while some people are getting on. So, you can make junk journals out of just about anything. You can make them out of chipboard, some example out of cardstock. There's a variety of different things that you can do. I've been mostly playing around with fabric and things like notebook insert. This one is a manila envelope with a 1-inch spine that I used. It's not been reinforced yet or anything like that, but it has shoe polish on it. So this makes a nice size. You can also use chipboard. And chipboard, I'm not finished with this one yet, but I'm working on it. So this is all from food packaging. So it makes a nice hard cover. So those are just a few different covers. Up with a pocket in the back. And it's not something we always have readily available as a pocket. Sometimes we have to build pockets in. Those of you who are coming in, please say something in the chat spot so I know here. Thank you so much for coming. And we're going to get started in about 30 seconds. So, Rachel's Super Cute Creations, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. I do quite a few videos and do tutorials. Not only junk journal items, but other items as well. I also, for those of you who don't know, I have a kit for sale right now. Square. It's a junk journal kit. It's $40 and you get everything you could possibly for a junk journal. So let's get started. This envelope is a 6-point envelope. And I'm going to just put my scoreboard up here so that you pull this out. So this is a 6x9 manila. And these are cheap. You can get them at Office Supply Store, Walmart, anywhere. I actually get them at my dollar store. And I think it's 6 or 8 in a pack for $1. So they're pretty reasonable. Although they're kind of free. So we have to kind of talk about that. So the first thing you're going to do is score and make your spine. This is not going to be a really thick junk journal. So the journal right here has a 1-inch spine, so you would be able to do 2 signatures. I don't want to do that. I want to just 1 signature today because this is something that I'm thinking you can just put in your purse or something like that. So halfway. So half of 9 is 4.5. Wide do I really want this spine? Wide. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to come down on both sides, and I'm sorry, not 3/8, about 3/4 wide. So I'm not sure, you probably can't see that. If I tip it like this, can you see the score lines? So I've now scored it in 2 spots. So once I come to, but I didn't, but if you get envelope like this in the mail, absolutely recycle it. 3/8 of an inch. I'm sorry, 3/4 of an inch. I have 8ths in my mind here. And let's see here. Need to just adjust this a smidge. Oh, I see why. Okay. There we go. Okay, so now it's 3/4. When I looked at that, it kept saying 3/8 because I was saying 3/8. I didn't actually score it at the right. There we go. So now it's perfect. See, we have a 3/4 inch spine. Doesn't matter that I made this. We're going to cover this, so it's not a big deal. I see we have some viewers in here. So if you are viewing, please go over to the bottom or right, depending on where it is on your screen, and please subscribe. And give me a thumbs up as we're going, or at least let me know that you're here. So the next thing I've done is cut a piece of cardstock. This is pretty heavy duty cardstock. Doesn't matter what color. I'm putting this inside as something to reinforce and make my book a little more sturdy. So you can score it if you want. I don't score it. All I do is it's just a smidge under 6 inches and it's exactly 9 inches long. So I just slide it into my cover like this. Oh, of course, now that I said that, I can't get that. Welcome, everyone. Welcome. I see more people are joining us. I'm seeing some thumbs up. Thank you so much. Okay. So you can see here, I've slid this in. I have plenty of room to close this. I've now made it a little thick, make it even more thick. So I'm going to come flip it over, and I'm just going to take my tool, and I'm just down again lightly, but enough to kind of score that cardstock in there. And I'm going to just fold that and fold it again. All right, so this is the part. You're going to pull this back out. Now, I typically will take something and mark the back. And of course, I cannot find a pen. Let's see what I have here. Well, I have this marker. So I'm going to pull this out. I put just a little X on here. Okay, so I know that this is the back and this is the side that I want to put the glue on. And I also just put a little arrow because this is the side I want to slide back in. I usually use Eileen's Tacky Coat of this. When I went to the store today, all they had was the clear gel tacky glue. So I'm going to try it today. Hello, thank you so much for coming. I appreciate that you're enjoying the tutorial. Hopefully you'll be able to stick with me the whole time. Thank you so much. As you come in, guys, please, please, please leave a message so that I can definitely acknowledge that you're here. So once I've done that, and I'm sorry, I need to get a piece of scrap paper. I've done that. Here we go. All right. So, that is pretty tacky. Never used that before. I'm going to just take a piece of, if you have a brush, you can use a brush. I'm just using a piece of scrap paper all the way to the edge. Especially important that you get it to the edges because you want to make sure that this sticks down well. If you have any questions as we go, please leave it in the comments and I will answer as we go. Okay, so remember I have the arrow up. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to open up this envelope. And I am going to slide it in. And I have to slide quickly because I want to make sure that I get it in there. I have to grab a wipe. For those of you who do not, I know almost everybody in the crafting world uses baby wipes. If you're new and you don't know this trick, baby wipes are a must-have in the craft room. Okay, so all I'm doing now is burnishing down. Now, I'm going to take my bone folder and I'm going to go ahead and make sure that this is done and it's bending where I want it to bend. Those of you who know me know that I am very particular about the spines of my journals. I don't like them to be stiff. I like them to feel like a book, not so much a brand new book that you just get, but a book that has been used. And I like my journals to be able to open up flat. So some journals, they get so stiff that you can't open them up flat to write. So I'm pretty particular about this. Okay, so now I'm done. I don't know if you can hear. See, I've already made it pretty stiff. All right. So the next part is to cover it. What I have here is just some scrapbook paper. You can cover with fabric, you can cover it with scrapbook paper. Scrapbook paper gives it some more stability. And so even if I'm going to cover it with fabric, which I'm not going to do today, I will still use book paper. So this is going to be my outside cover. And I'm going to do the exact same thing that we just did. I'm going to just cover this entire manila envelope with glue. And then I'm going to lay it over top. You want a pretty good amount of glue. You can see I'm not. Now, tonight, I'm going to sew this part. If you don't have a sewing machine, don't worry about this part. As long as glue really good to your edges, you'll be fine. The other thing is when you're using Arlene's Tacky Glue, if you leave it just like this and you put your paper down, it's going to be bumpy and it's going to leave marks. Especially even if you use fabric, it's going to leave marks wherever that glue was. So you want to really spread it out good. Make sure you have it really good on your spine, on your edges. All right. So I'm just checking my paper to see how I want it. Go ahead and I'm going to put it down. I get my bone folder. I'm going to burnish it down. All right. Now, if you have these little flaps, see how this hasn't been glued well? I glue those down before I put the other paper down. So I'm going to do that right now while I'm thinking about it because I don't want to miss that step. But sometimes these envelopes are not sealed and you may even have to do the center one. All right. These right here, ladies and gentlemen, are my favorite scissors. They are Fiskars Precision Cut Scissors. The craft kind. Make sure you get the crafting kind and not the fabric. The fabric ones have orange handles. The crafting ones have either the pink and white or they have black and gray handles. And these are amazing. They do not fatigue your hand at all. Scissors, because you can use just the tip and make very fine cuts. I know you can't probably see that very well. I don't work for or anything like that. I don't get a promotion for promoting their stuff. I don't get any money. I just like their product that my followers know I use. So I see a few more of you are joining us. Thank you so much for joining us. Please leave me a message over to the right so that you're here. Okay, so we have now created the cover. Once again, I'm burning it, but I have to go in and I have to fold. If you wait until this dries, it is not going to, you're not going to like how it is. While it's wet, it's more pliable. You have the more ability to make it flexible. You're not going to end up with a ripped. Notice that my edge is not ripped at all. It's not breaking. The paper's not breaking. We're manipulating the paper while it's still a little damp. It's not. All right. I can get my fingers to work. We'll be all set. So you can see we now have this gorgeous spine. Oh, hello, Anita from Norway. Thank you so much. Judy, glad to see you with me again today. Thank you so much for coming in. Okay, so now here is an issue that we need to fix right away. This is sticky. It's sticky because clearly it's an envelope. So you need to be very careful about laying that down. As you start getting the back of this wet, it's going to start coming through and it's going to get this sticky. So you need to be very careful. Okay, very careful with that. Now, you also need to decide what paper you want for your inside flap. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use this, but I'm going to show you a little trick. So, same thing. We're going to put glue down. I'm going to put up the little tab. Hold that up. I'm going to hold that up. I'm going to put glue on this whole area right here. And then we're going to stick it down this paper, making sure I don't have any glue. I don't want it on my, you know what, we're going to flip it over. Okay, so once again, we want plenty of glue. So far, I'm liking this gel version of this glue. I've never used it before. Eileen's Tacky Glue Clear Gel. So far, I really like it. I like the way that it applies. I like the way that it spreads. It seems to be the same amount of tackiness as the regular. So as we continue to go, I'll let you know what I think of it. All the way out to the edges. Now, you do have to be very careful right here. I do not want to get glue in there. So I'm just going to take a scrap paper. This is just something I have laying around. And I'm going to tuck it in there. So in case I go over the edge, I do not get glue and glue my pocket shut. Okay, I'm making sure I go around this really well. Making sure the edges are all nice and I'm going to set this to the side. So now I have my blue paper that matches. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to just lay this down. Now, I have to flip this over because what I'm doing is I'm just going to poke a hole carefully and let my little clip through. Okay, now flip it back over and I'm going to burnish it down. All right. Hi, Penny. Thank you so much for shop. I appreciate you coming in. Those of you who don't know Penny, she has an amazing digital store. And I believe Penny has a great sale going on next 2 days. So if you have not had a chance to go over there, Penny, can you put your store in the comments so people can find that? Happy Easter Eve, Cheryl. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. So far, for those of you who just came in, all we've done is right now we've covered this 6x9 envelope. Okay, so I do have a little bit of feedback on this glue, you guys. I said I liked it, and I still do like it, but I will tell you it's very wet. So feeling it through here, I can feel it starting to come through my paper a little bit, which is fine, but I also feel it's very heavy. So I'll be interested to see when this dries completely, how stiff it's going to be. When you want it to be nice and sturdy. Penny, if you're still on here, if you would put your store on there so that they can go over and check out your digital store, that would be. All right. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm just burnishing this down. But remember, we have to go in and we have to kind of find those folds again. And we need to fold it. I'm just pulling it here towards here. Just pulling out any of the wrinkles and any of that stuff. Okay. All right, now I'm going to go to this and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to come up here. I'm going to bend the spine where the spine should be bent. And then I'm going to work out any glue balls or any wrinkles that I have in this paper. So it takes a little bit of work to get this going the way you want it, but you'll be very happy with the results. And see, glue's coming out of where I've been working. So I'm just working it out, working the glue out, making sure I don't have wrinkles. Now, if you get a couple of wrinkles, don't panic. It'll be fine. These are junk journals. They do not have to be perfect. I know some of us, like myself, and that stuff bothers us, but you can always fix. You can always fix things. The other thing, if you are very careful with your paper, you can actually use a baby in your paper too if you get a little bit of glue where you don't want it. So that's another quick tip. Okay, so now I want to fold this in because I want this to be like a regular envelope. So this takes a little bit of work. It takes a little bit of manipulation. Bend this in. Okay. And I just put a couple of snips in the paper so it can fold how I want it to be. See, and I just put a couple of snips in the paper so it can fold how I want it. See, and that takes the wrinkles right out. Now it's nice and flat again. So just a couple of snips. Now I have this right the way I want it. I'm going to pull this out. I'm going to put a little bit of glue. I'm bending it this way. I'm going to put a little bit of glue. Just seal it down. And I'm just burnishing it, making sure it's down. Let's cover this tab right here. So I want to cover it with the same paper. And I want to cut this paper long enough that I can kind of cover up this part to the clip. And when down to that clip, I'm only going to put glue right here. And we're going to do the other part in a little bit. But before I do that, I am going to put my hole punch in there. I use thick and I'm not finding that hole very well. So I'm just punching the hole so that it can go through. You don't have to do that, but I just want to make sure that it lines up well. So I'm going to smooth this out. Make sure it's on my edges really well. All right. Now I'm coming down to the clip, putting the paper right down to the clip. I'm going to cut it, and then I'm going to show you how we're going to tuck that paper in. Okay. So I'm just going to cut around. All right. I cut it just a little short, so I'm just going to scoot this up a little bit. That way it covers, and I'm just going to trim again because I was a little short over here. I'm not sure how I did that. I must have moved it when I was cutting. So I'm just going to go across here. There we go. Now it's all covered up. I'm going to take my punch hole again. Now I'm going to take my scissors and I cut just a little V. Just a little V, not much. I'm going to open up my envelope and I'm going to tuck that in just like that. Okay, and we now have our cover. So the next thing that I'm going to do is take this over to my sewing machine. If you do not have a sewing machine, don't worry about it. You're ready to go. Now, you can have your journal like this if you want, or you can have this pocket back here like this. Oh, sorry, I did miss a step, guys. I do want to glue this down. So just put a little bit, don't put a lot on it to pop out. Okay, there we go. All right. Now, I'm going to take just a second. I'm going to go over to my sewing machine. I'm going to sew around the edges. I'm just using a regular straight stitch, and I'm doing it at 2.8. Okay, so I just finished. You can see I stitched around the edge, stitched on the 2 fold lines. You don't have to do that. I just did that. What I forgot to do is stitch along here. So give me 1 second. Okay. So I've now stitched. Amazing, you guys. It just feels nice and sturdy. So I'm going to go ahead and set this to the side for a minute. Okay. Set that to the side. I do notice there's a little bit, it's not sticking as well right in here like I would like it to. There we go. Might have been when I was sewing. Okay. So I'm going to set my cover to the side. Thanks, Judy. All right, and now we're going to go ahead and we're going to do, oh my goodness, I made a complete mess. We're going to go ahead and we're going to do the pages. And so a couple things I want to show you. If you have pages that are too small, you can definitely, you don't end up with any pages stuck. Okay, so I just have a pile of papers here. These were some of the leftover pages. I wanted to just use up the rest of the pages. So I have some foreign book page, a dictionary page, a piece of paper of a gardening book. This is a piece that, I'm going to put a letter here. This is a piece of paper that I would have folded it like this. This is how narrow it would have been. And that would have been okay, but the words would have been going the wrong way. The children's songbook. So what I did is I just washi taped 2 together. And so I put them together. I have some coffee dyed paper. So I'm just going to organize these. And then we're going to decide how wide to be. So let me just put them in here and see what we have going on. That's a little too wide. So it looks like that might be a good width of page. Just, yep. Okay. So I'm going to have to do a little bit of cut. The page fold in. So I'm just going to hold this here, and I'm not I'm not going to make, look, I've just made a pocket in the page if I want it, or I've made a flip out. So I don't have to cut my pages. So I go ahead, I'll line that up. Fold this one back. And I'm not sure whether I'm going to have them in or out. So I'm just going to fold them both ways. All right. So I'm just layering my papers how I think I want them. Let's see here. This dictionary page, yeah, this dictionary page is going to be way too big. So I definitely need to cut that one. You can leave the ripped look if you want. I don't really. There we go. All right. And this one might end up a little too long. So let me see what this one. Yeah, I need to trim a little bit off of this one. And that one might be a little too tall. Yep, it's a little too tall also. So I'm just going to trim a smidge off. Those of you who are please leave me a message so I know who's here, who's still with me. If you have any questions to my YouTube channel, please subscribe to Rachel Super Cute Creations. All right. So we're at about 34 minutes. And I took some time to talk at the beginning, but we almost have this journal. And so that's exciting. Okay. All right. So I'm going to pull this paper out because I need to trim just a little bit off of these. So I don't want them to stick outside of my journal. And they're right on the edge. So if I put anything in there towards the edge, I'm worried that it's going to spout. I have pieces everywhere. I bet all of you create much neater than I do. That you have these problems of having stuff all over. I always start off in good shape, but then it goes downhill fast. Okay, Judy's staining coffee paper or coffee staining paper. I love to do that. It's one of my favorite things to do. Okay, so now that we've done that, yep, that's much better fit. I do need to adjust these papers just a smidge. Now, if you have book pages that are fragile as well, the washi tape will work in the middle if you start seeing cracking in your pages. So if you're like me and you are over 100 years old, they'll start to crack. So see, like this one, it's so old, it's starting to crack. So sometimes you can't use your paper trimmer and you have to use things like scissors or other ways to straighten up things. So be careful as you go. There. Because just difficult to use because they're so old that they're starting to fall apart. Okay, so we have this together how I want it. So let me just quickly get these scraps out of the way and garbage. Now, if you're into making Franken pages or you like to weave paper, definitely keep those little scraps. If you like to make homemade paper, you can keep those scraps as well. I have an entire bin of them, so I'm going to throw them away this time. I don't throw it in. All right. So the one more thing that I wanted to put in here, I'm not sure now what I did with it. I wanted to put a little envelope in here. So let me see if I can find it. Where did I put you, envelope? That's really odd. I thought I had it on the table when we were working. Oh, here it is. It fell on the floor. Okay. So I want to put this envelope on. And I got glue on it. Signature to cover up my threads. So I'm sure you all know this trick, but I'm going to show you anyway. All right. So I am carefully going to take this envelope apart. And when I say carefully, I'm trying not to rip it. I'm going to grab my bone folder. If you have a letter opener, that's the best thing to use, although I don't know what I did with my letter opener. So, okay. So I got that side down. Okay. So I'm opening this up like this. I'm going to put it in the center of my signature. Okay. We're going to bind this in. When we're done, we're going to glue this back down and we're going to have an envelope. All right. So here's where these giant clips come in handy. I just picked up some new ones at Target. You can get them at Target in their stationery section. These giant clips will keep your signatures from moving, or signature from moving. Okay, so I'm just putting these giant clips on. And I'm going to kind of eyeball where is this book. So I need to get a piece of paper to make a template. So to make a template, you need a piece of paper that is the same width as your spine. And it needs to be the exact same height. So I know that okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put if it's heavy cardstock, it might be a little difficult to do, but you've got to get it in the middle. Okay. Now, you want to take and fold this in half like this. Once you do that, you now have your center point. So I am going to try to get that up there so you can see it. I'm going to put a dot right where those folds make an X. That's my center point. Then I'm going to take and I'm going to fold in the bottom and the bottom. So this is how a lot of people make theirs, okay? And so then they would end up with a dot here and a dot here. And that right there will enter your papers. Now, I don't like my binding that close. So I come out about an inch from the bottom. This is just my preference. You don't have to do it this way. But I like it an inch. So these are the ones that I'm going to use. Okay. So I'm going to take this. I'm going to use some smaller paper clips. And I'm going to paper clip this down so that I can punch my holes. And I'm going to get my tool. I always do the center one first. All the way through. And now I'm going to go through my next hole. And my next hole. Okay. So it's important that you use this template on your pages as well, because you could end up with not getting those nice and straight like you want. I'm just pushing that down and going back paper to be flat on the spine. It doesn't really matter. I see most people go the other way, but I don't like that. So okay. So now I'm going to take the same template and I'm going to line it up evenly. And I'm going to do the same thing. So now I'm going through my paper. You want to make sure that your pages are going the way you want them to go. I want my envelope to be in the back of my book, but if you can use it either way. I like it in the back because that way I can put ephemera and pieces like that in there as I'm working and I can pull things out. I like to use wax linen. So I use wax linen. Judy, that's a really good, the old pages some, or glycerin. I don't know, but you know what? It might be something that I try. All right, so a lot of people say they do it 3 times. I don't. I do it 2.5 roughly, and then I snip it. Because this wax linen is not real cheap. It's not extremely expensive, but it's not real cheap. And so I don't like to use a whole lot and leave a bunch to throw away. All right. So the next thing I do is get a needle. And because this is a small journal, I'm going to use just a needle tonight. All right. So you're going to thread your needle like this. You're going to come in. You're going to go through your center and through the center of your cover. Once you get to that point, put your thumb there. And now you're going to go through the top hole. And through your top pages. All right. And you're going to kind of pull that tight. A little too. There we go. Now I'm going back down through my center hole where I just left. Going back. Oops. So see this, but I actually went through the thread in the middle of the thread. You do have to be careful of that sometimes. And back up. Then I take my needle and I go under here, have something that I can tie. Now, if you don't like to tie threads this short, get it. Just do 3 lengths. It doesn't bother me because I'm leaving it in an envelope. All right, so now I want to check back to make sure that I'm nice and tight. And I'm going to tie a knot again. Then I turn it one more time. That's just my preference. You can do it however you want. And then because I'm leaving it in this envelope, I'm going to cut it. I leave about almost an inch on each side. Okay, spread that out. And we have just bound this book. Now we're going to go back in and we're going to glue this down. So I'm going to carefully glue this back down. And I'm going to get a little bit of spots where the paper came up a little bit. So put this baby back together. There we go. So now have this book done. So let's flip through it. Now, I'm going to probably put a pocket over here, and there's some other things I can do. I'm going to stuff this full of ephemera so that I can, this is something I can put in my purse and play with a little bit. So let's just look at these pages. I have a variety of pages, textures. You can journal on, you can decorate, and it also can hold more items in here. So I think that's really cute. It's really simple. They're fun to make. Those of you that have grandkids, this is a great one to make because you don't have a lot of money into it. And so they can play with it. The other cool thing is I just made a kit where we laminated little people and we put them in the pocket so that her granddaughter can pull them out and play with them, kind of like the old paper doll, but it's our junk journal version of doing that. So I think this is cute. I'm definitely going to go in and add some lace, some bobs in here. Let's see here. I really like the size. Never done this. Going to have to try. Yeah, Judy, this is a great, great size. Now, if as a flap, I have seen people, I can't do this because I make my junk journals way too chunky, but you can actually use your closure. So I could put some, let's see if I have some and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Let me grab some ribbon real quick or some lace. Okay. This is black and it doesn't really go. So you could take a piece of ribbon binding or whatever you wanted, and you could put it through here to make a closure. And I would cut it how I wanted it because I'm not going to use this. I don't want to waste it. And you could wrap it around and then you could have this really cute closure. So isn't that cute? And it kind of holds everything in. Now, you could make it thick. I mean, you can maneuver this, but you're not going to make it as thick as if you left it, left that in the back. But yeah, that's really cute too. It just kind of gives it a different closure. So I hope everybody likes this tutorial. Please share with me what you've made. If you have any questions, just leave me a comment. This will be available to everybody on my YouTube channel. So if you didn't get a chance to watch it, you'll have a chance. If there's something specific that you would like to see in my YouTube channel about junk journals, let me know. I'd be happy to do a video. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to my video. Thank you for everyone who's following me. As soon as I get to 1,000 subscribers, and I'm very close, we will be doing another giveaway. And the giveaway will be one of my own handmade junk journals as well as one of my ephemera kits. So if you haven't checked out my video on the junk journal kits that I created, there are a few left still. They're $45, and that includes 2 private classes that I get. I link those to you. So there'll be private YouTube links. So we'll get the whole kit plus shipping anywhere in the US for $45, and it's a steal. You can make 2 junk journals. You can make one this size and one regular manila envelope size, which I think I can show you a sneak peek of mine. I think it's still over here. Let me look. And so I'm working on videos right now for mine. And oh, maybe I can. I thought I had it over here where I could show it to you guys. I think it's in the other area where I've been filming. Oh no, it is. It's right here. So the other size. This is out of a manila envelope. So this is a sneak of what you can make with your kit. But you actually can make 2 journals with that $45 kit. So it's been great. Thank you so much for everybody. Give me a thumbs up if you like this video. Subscribe. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great evening.